Welcome back to Chat Chit. This review and preview of the 2024 season will be for Geelong.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm just going to talk about the 2023. So a team that obviously came off a thumping final against the Swans, won a premiership 2 years ago. Doesn't often happen that the premiership winner then drops out of the top eight. We obviously saw that this year. Um, they finished in 12th place, 2 games off the top eight. Was a big surprise, but they have got a very aging team. A lot of their stars, Dangerfield is I think 33 or 35. Blitzovs is quite old now. Tui, quite old now. Hawkins, quite old now. Cameron's only getting older. They're a team, though, who would have backed in their experience to get them through. I think they would have definitely expected to at least be fighting for top four. And then finishing 12th was a huge, huge disappointment for them. Look, I think going into 2024, just before I let you speak about them, I think they're going to back in their talent. They've done absolutely nothing in this trade period.
Yeah.
They've done is lose Radagalier. They're not going to play a big part in this draft, so it's clear that they're just going to back in what they have. Yeah.
Something we know about Geelong as a club, and it's the same with the Sydney Swans, I reckon, is they're two teams that will never rebuild. They will never plan for the draft if it sacrifices their chances for the season. They will always try to compete, and that's because they have two really well-built clubs and two incredible coaches. And so Geelong, there's absolutely no chance that they're looking at any sort of rebuild despite the narrative of an aging team. I reckon they've had that narrative for the last 12 years. They were called Dad's Army when they won the Premiership in 2011, and yet they continued to be a team that competed for the top four for the next until they won the Premiership in 2023 and 2022. So they're going to go again. A lot of people are going to do the same as you and I, where I've got them in. I don't know where you have them, but I've got them in 12th heading into the 2024 season.
I had 11th.
But I would not be shocked at all if they go in and go all the way to somewhere near the top four. And the reason is they are an aging team in terms of they don't really have a lot of mid-age talent. Instead of mid-age talent, they've got guys like Tom Hawkins, Jeremy Cameron, Zach Tui, and Isaac Smith, who just retired, and players like that who are really getting towards the ends of their peaks or ends of their careers. But they do have good, young, proper, emerging talent that is really going to set them well for the future. But it's do they have any players that are at their best right now?
Well, I think you really you really got to put it down to the coaching. I mean, for a club to not go through a rebuild, it's for so long, and not getting, obviously when you stay at the top, you're not going to get too many high draft picks. So they're picking players in the 30s and the 40s most of the time, and you just got to put it down to the consistent list management,
development of players,
the work of Chris Scott and his coaching team in order to get these lower order picks into some incredible players. I mean, for a team to consistently make finals, I think is like they've only missed, I think it was 3 of the last 10 or 13 years or something like that. It's ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, it's insane.
And the only team that comes close is the Swans, I'm fairly sure, being that consistent at the top.
Absolutely.
So, honestly, if Geelong were to somehow make it into the 8, I don't think it will surprise anyone.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to come down to how fit their older guys can stay. How many games, how many minutes has Dangerfield got in him?
Yeah.
Tom Hawkins was a bit frustrated. Ended up, I think he's going to get the extra contract and stay on for another year. But yeah, I've got them in 11th this year.
Cool. So similar to me. And I think when you look at last year, they won 10 games out of 23, but they had a percentage of 112.6. So a lot of people are putting it down to an aging team, except I'm sort of with the pack that was putting it down to, I know it's a cliche, but a grand final hangover of sorts, where they did not play with that same hunger and motivation to prove themselves and to achieve something special as they did the year before. But maybe that hunger will be back now that they've had such a disappointment.
Yeah, I guess you can say they won the grand final was 89 points or something.
Yeah,
the players had done it all.
What grand final? I don't remember any grand finals.
Yeah, well, that's our preview. We think Geelong are going to have a pretty similar season to what they did in 2023. We'll recap it throughout later in the season. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you all in the next one.